1 second. I'm not Mike Kinsella.
No, you're not Mike Kinsella.
No.
Kinsella. I think there's a famous writer named Mike Kinsella.
Hi. Wait. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Poli van Dam. Can you hear me?
I can.
Those are some nice big headphones.
I know, they're so nerdy. They're my husband's.
Yeah.
He uses them for his.
Hello, husband.
Hi.
That's Mike.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh yeah, let me change my name.
Nice to meet you, Mike.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I love your Facebook pictures together. I think your family is so cute.
He says he loves our pictures.
Oh,
He was just filling me in about your book and stuff, and he's like, don't be nervous. He's like, I'm pretty sure Jughead has his fair share of band turmoils.
Oh yeah, I do. Yes.
And he's telling me about the book. I want to read it now.
Yeah, that book was all about when me and Ben started falling apart. I started writing that to sort of explore the friendship and business aspect of our relationship, because I never really thought we were actual friends, because if we were not in a band, I don't think we would have been friends. Because whenever there was other people in the band, like Vapid or another person, they would always get along better. But Ben and I were together every day for like 20 years. So it was an interesting dynamic to explore.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at too. Like,
yeah,
that all kind of came to head, and just major realization, Yeah. Okay, you guys are gonna be quiet till
Are they gonna shut up for you?
Yeah, they're gonna shut the fuck up. They're gonna shut the fuck up. And if not, I'll be mean momming, and I'll be out there.
Mean mama. Do you have to pull out the mean mama occasionally?
Yeah, I already am, because I got home from work and got homework going, and
yeah, get business done. So by the way, I just love your name, Poli van Dam. Is that original? I mean, is it like Pollyanna or Pollyanna? Is it just Polly?
Paulina is
Paulina.
Yeah, my dad is a Wayne Gretzky fan, and his daughter's name is Paulina, and she was born a couple years before me.
Yeah.
And so apparently that's where they got the name.
Oh, it's great. It's a great name. Sometimes people would change their name to sound like that. So
I know. Well, that's why I tacked my husband's name on the end of my name, but I just still go by Poli van Dam. It's too cool.
Oh, that is a great name. So that Van Dam is that's
my maiden name.
Yeah, your maiden name. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we've already started, Polly. This is the way I do it. I just sort of dive in. So I do some studying, and then I put it around me. So if I'm looking to my left or right, that I'm not looking like out a window at a dog or some pretty woman walking by. I have no
windows.
Easily
distracted. Something shiny. Ooh.
I have notes to my left and right. But what I like to do is just sort of go for it. But for some reason, I did come up with a plan. I might have been in my sleep. I came up with this idea, but I wanted to, I'll spread it out right now and say it, and then we'll see if I stick to it or not. But I wanted to talk first briefly about the departure, and then go into like your personal history and the band history, and then return to it at the end. So if you feel like I'm short shifting the topic at first, it's only because I want to save some of it for the end, but we'll see where it goes.
Got it.
And you're open to talk about, I purposely did not see if you talked about it online yet, because I wanted that to be fresh for me. So I didn't.
I have not. This is my first speaking of it. And so, forgive me if I fumble or whatever. I'm still,
you're still processing. It's going to be processing for a while.
Yeah, it's hard. And I want to be graceful as well.
So if I were just some stranger to walk out of nowhere, let's do that. Your sort of blanket statement of what your reasoning.
I just think it's definitely not something that I take lightly, because I started this band when I was 14, 15 years old. So that's half my life.
Yeah.
And we did amazing, great things. And we all, got to do what we wanted to do. I think there comes a point in time when you realize if it's not, fun anymore.
Yeah.
There's, and not that it wasn't, but there's just things personally and creatively that I just didn't feel supported by. you know, when I had my son the first time, there was some drama. There wasn't taken very well by them. And
Mhm.
so there were still over years. I mean, that's 8 years ago, but you know, there were songs written about it, and I was still healing from that. And so I got pregnant again, and it just it wasn't what I needed. It wasn't what I needed anymore. And through COVID and everything, just realizing what means most. Sounds so cheesy, but just realizing, like, you know, I want to have another baby. I want to, you know, do the family thing and chill out a little bit, because I'm not exactly happy in this position, you
Yeah.
know. And I did realize that we had the band, but other than that, I think there was just too much stuff. And that we met when I was 14, you know, people change. I got sober a couple years ago, and you know, it's just cliche, like eye opener, really.
And it had been building for a while and then you just made a decision, or I guess that's the way it is, but I'm curious as to, did you
Yeah, well,
call the
uh,
band together and do that, or was it
yeah,
like,
unfortunately I couldn't. I wanted to speak with them personally about it, but it was kind of at the point where our manager was kind of did it for us, and it was just kind of casual. I sent a text and wishing them well, you know,
Mm.
and they were about to go out on this tour, the Bayside tour that they just did, and I heard it was great, and that's all I wanted for them. As soon as I told them I was pregnant, you know, I was like, have so and so fill in. Like, I want you guys to go do this. Who am I to hold anybody back, you know? And I just wish it could have, you know, all worked out. But and then I had a miscarriage,
Oh
and
man.
then, you know, they kind of assumed that I was going to still go on that tour, and I still needed time to,
Yeah, process
well,
that.
yeah,
A
it
whole
was,
new different thing to process now.
yeah, it was heavy, and there was like a lot of medical issues with that too. They like butchered the surgery that they did, and so like this is going to get graphic, but I was like bleeding heavily
Oh
for
man.
over a month. I even went and did Punk in the Park in Arizona, and I was still, it was just gnarly. Like, and that comes back to, I sacrificed a lot, you know, for this band. My heart's in it. My soul is in it, in music, you know. But I guess at this time, I'm 30 years old. I'm a mother. Trying to get pregnant again, and it's time to just kind of do it on my own terms. I
Yeah.
felt that, you know, I was losing grasp a little bit too, you know. I was losing hold of, not control, but I just felt, you know, it just wasn't working. I think it's all time for everybody. I think it's gonna all work out good for everybody involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, some of the audience may know the band. I'm going to assume some of you don't. So, from the studying I've done, you've come out recently and talked a lot about being diabetic. Did that have anything to do with the problems going on, whether with the pregnancy or with the band? I know you've been dealing with it since you were, what, 16, you said?
Yeah, 16. Nice. You did
Yeah.
do your
Yeah, I did.
research.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I think,
we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But I'm just wondering, in this new situation and the building of the band and the losing of the pregnancy, if that did diabetes have any effect on that? I don't know enough about it to know whether that makes the
about,
pregnancy more difficult or not.
yes, well, definitely. So my first pregnancy was high risk. I think it would just, they're not sure if it had anything to do with me being diabetic. It's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
Your sugars have to be so perfect and right in check, like during the whole process, even before conception. So, you know, I'm not perfect. I'm human, and any of diabetic who is out there will know that it's a struggle to maintain that, you know.
Mm.
I'm gonna put one headphone like this so I can
Yeah,
hear
I
better.
try to do
Sorry.
that too. I have really my girlfriend, she's Japanese, we call them chisai mimi. I have very small ears. So it's hard to keep these things in my ears. So
That's what somebody said to me too. That was fitting me for headphones. They said,
yeah.
you have a very small ear canal. And I was like, thank you.
Yeah, I jog and then they'll just fall out of my ears. I have to
um,
but anyway, sorry,
no,
a
you
little
know
levity in
that,
the midst of some
I
diabetic
know
talk. So
that's, you know, that's what we have to do. You, if you can't, if you're not laughing, then you'll be crying. So
Yeah, it's true. That's what comedy is for. So.
yeah. And so I think, anyway, not sure if that had anything to do with it, but it definitely made me, again, it's another thing that's not talked about that much. So again, just thinking about with diabetes, and then now with the miscarriage, to use the platform a little bit to speak out about it. And when people message me, oh, I'm diabetic, or my kid is diabetic, and I always message them back, but especially if they're kids, I'm like, here's my number, text me whenever, or let's set up a Zoom call. So I usually do like Zoom calls with diabetic kids. And
wow,
I really have been wanting to dive into that. Hence why, this past year I've been reaching out, or this company Freestyle there, I have it on my arm, the CGM. They really liked my story. And so we did a commercial for them, and I'm a partner with them now. So that, we shot a commercial, and then I'll maybe be doing some speaking engagements. I can speak. And
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah, gotta do my warm-ups. And stuff like that. So it's like kind of, and like I mentioned, I always was like, oh, one door closes, another one opens, but it doesn't have to be that way. We're all evolving, and it's a revolving door.
Yeah.
And you jump in, you jump out, like, and we've always said this, and Jen and I have always said this since we started this band. We'd be sitting side stage at Warped Tour, whatever. We're gonna play with no effects one day. We're gonna do this one day. If you put your mind to something, and you could really, we would always say, just get it, just go get it.
When you hear people say that, especially if someone is down and they just say that to you, you kind of have an adverse reaction, like, yeah, that's what you say, but you're not depressed, like, I know. But I think a lot of it has to do with, to me, is creative people are able to look at those tough situations and just see all these different options like in front of them, where every person might not be like that, but it seems like you're willing to look at those other options for your life.
And I think as an artist and creator, it's pretty amazing, because I am not saying that life is great and just go get it. And exactly. There's luck involved. There's being at the right place at the right time. But I struggle with depression and anxiety in days where I don't, want to be here, just like everybody else sometimes. And to wake up with my diabetes every single day is unreal sometimes. And I can't fathom doing it every day for the rest of my life, So I think the only way is like these little spurts of hope and opportunities that, you either stay in a cycle, or, you keep grooving.
Yeah. Another gap I'll fill in for the audience from my studying is that your family, your father is a diabetic. He was around 26, 27, somewhere around there.
He was 16.
16. Oh, how did I?
He was 16 as well.
No, that was the guy who was interviewing you. That was around 26, 27. I listened to that Bravest podcast, and it said he was around 26.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And then your brother
and
also,
my little brother.
You had to help him with the needles. So you learned at a young age to deal with that.
Yeah. So it was kind of, when then I got diagnosed, it wasn't such a shock, to the system, because, well, to my system, but as a family and functioning, most people get really, really sick and have to be hospitalized and taught how to live your new life. But I was able to just kind of go home, and which is also a shock too, because it's like, okay, now here's this needle and syringe, and like, bye, like, but in a way I knew what it was, because I was always around it.
Yeah.
But growing up, my dad was very secretive about it. I mean, he would even play like roller hockey with his friends. I remember when I was younger going, and my mom would be like, please tell them you're diabetic. Like, at least just let them know. Like, he wouldn't tell anybody. To me, that's so sketchy, because I'm like,
you're just all over about
it. You're gonna die.
Yeah. Well,
you gotta let people know, like, this, so they know what to do.
Yeah. Well, I think what I was getting at there is that I think maybe a lot of this familiarity with it has set you up nicely to be able to talk to people and to help people learn about diabetes. And
Yeah. And that's what keeps me going too at this point, because I do think of the people that do look up to me. And so that I found like a lot of joy and like hope with doing that. So
yeah.
Yeah.
For the at-home audience who's just on the audio, she showed me the under of her arm has a circle, like a white plastic thing. It looks like and that, if I'm not mistaken, is that the thing that's hooked up to an app?
Yeah, so I scan myself like this and my
Yeah.
number comes up. It's called a continuous glucose monitor. So instead of pricking your finger every time, you can just scan yourself. And the big difference is even the meters, they don't show if your blood sugar is going up or going down, but these have an arrow and alerts.
Mm.
So, which is huge because, for example, if I'm going on stage and I see normal range is like for normal person 90 to 120. If I see that I'm, even high, like 150, but it's going down before I'm going to do something like go on stage, I will make sure I have sugar before,
Mhm.
because I can see the trending arrow.
Have you ever had to stall a show or based on that,
Um,
or you just go right into it?
no, I haven't a couple times, like just chugging regular Coca-Cola, like right before going on stage, but I've
Doesn't that
managed to keep it
yeah,
pretty like
doesn't it seem like an odd thing to have to do to make yourself healthy, is to do something
I,
that's unhealthy?
I know. Oh, in the middle of the night, I'm like chugging sugar packets. I'm like, oh, my poor
Oh my,
teeth.
oh my, oh my.
Because it's so my pancreas doesn't produce insulin. So when I eat, I have to give myself insulin via the shot. So it's not my body doing it naturally. So sometimes you'll give too much and that causes the low, or you
Mhm.
don't eat enough. So then you need sugar and stuff. So what I would start doing is getting, living life higher and higher to be safe, because like being low is where you have seizures and it's scary. High is super damaging over a longer period of time. But when you are on the road and especially drinking and partying and you just want to make sure you wake up in the morning, then you just like ride high, which is just terrible for you overall.
Wow. It just
Yeah.
makes me think it's almost like a metaphor of itself. Like in life, you're always trying to, at least I do, try to balance myself with like the goods and the bads and the
Right.
going crazy and then backing up. You have a whole nother level of having to think about that in terms of your body and
Yeah.
regulating
No,
that.
completely. Like if you look at this, like, I don't know if you can see, probably not.
No, it looks like a white.
Oh,
No, that's
can
okay.
you
What
see
is it?
that graph?
Oh yeah,
It's
I can
just,
see the graph now. Yeah.
yeah, it's just for the people who don't have the visual, it's a graph that goes up and down, up and down.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's the roller coaster.
I was just this was a thing as you were talking about the arrows. You have that song Double Arrow. Is that a reference to that?
Yeah,
That?
that's a reference to the CGM device. So it's kind of like an inside thing. If you
Yeah.
know, you know.
Yeah. It's all well, I was looking at because I was like, oh, Double Arrow is also a reference to like at a road stop. If there's an accident, you have to, if you see double arrows, you have to stop and let the other in the traffic go. So I was like, oh, that's a metaphor too. I had a feeling it was more related to the diabetes, but
Yeah, and that was just super obviously important song to me. I've never like written about it before. So I was overwhelmed, like thinking this has to be perfect or whatever. So it was like hard to write, but once it kind of happened, it happened like in the studio, and I was like, damn, I love this.
yeah.
And it just feels like I even listen to it sometimes. To be honest, I'm not, no shame in my game.
I listen to
I
my music all the time. If I
I
don't like it, then why should anybody else?
if I'm pissed off at being diabetic and I just like will listen to it. Like one day I was like on the freeway, like crying, like listening to
Yeah.
it. Ah.
That's a very good video, by the way. I went through a chain of watching a lot of yours, and what's nice about a lot of them is you seem to go into it with story ideas. A lot of the later
Yeah.
ones seem to be really focused on telling a story and acting, which I was
Yeah. And a lot of
impressed
like
by.
references to movies, and yeah, those were really fun to do. Like again, like I'm proud of all of our projects and
Yeah.
making that shit happen. But yeah, those videos were really, really fun just to have a theme, and that's all us just doing it. I mean, our friend Chris Grau is like an amazing director, and but as far as like the ideas and hair and makeup and what we're gonna wear, it's all of us scrounging that together like last minute.
I don't know if you know, but I also, besides music, have spent my life in theater and teaching, and I wrote many plays and toured on Broadway shows and stuff. But so I like watching these videos and thinking about like the acting terms. And that, you know, when I approached you, I said that thing where like you were the interesting one to me. You know, I mean, you have two front women that are very strong and very pretty, so it's obvious a lot of guys are like, ah. But I was like, something about you really drove me to you. And then I started watching these videos and like, oh, I think I know what it is. There's this natural irony, plus good acting. Like even on stage when you're performing, you're able to be there, but there's sort of what I enjoy is like Bill Murray has it, where there's a little bit of irony to all honesty. Like you're aware of it, whether you even know that. It comes off in your performances, both on stage and in these videos.
Oh,
So
wow.
I think it makes you an actually like a good actor to watch in those videos. I think it's fun.
Don't give me any ideas. Like, what's on my plate? Here I am in LA. No, I enjoy it. Like we did the commercial for the freestyle thing on my arm, and when the day was over, I was like, I want to do this a lot.
Yeah. No, you can tell you have a knack for it.
But yeah, I love it, performing, and that's why I love just being like crazy on stage, and I can't wait to like get back out there and do that shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, now we're gonna let's drop that for a while and we'll come back to it. So did you have any theater experience when you were little, or did you're in a, you know, we're more near San Diego than LA, is that true? I'm really bad with that area.
Yeah, like North County, San Diego, Oceanside, Vista area.
Yeah.
No theater. I always wanted to, and I just never did it. I did piano lessons and like more the music route, but my husband did theater all growing up, and my son's showing some interest. We just went to Hamilton last week, so it was great. And yeah, I was like, maybe we'll do a family theater performance.
I actually just heard that in one of those podcasts that you were varsity golfer and you played piano. And my girlfriend, who, a little insight, we met in Japan a couple of years ago. Then the pandemic happened and we lived together for 6 months in quarantine. Then I got kicked out of the country because of the visa. So we've been doing a Skype relationship for a whole year. And I finally just got her here like 3 weeks ago. So she's here now.
Oh, yay.
But she is also a varsity golfer and piano, and she's a piano concert. She teaches piano and does concerts. So I was like, oh wow. And we're going to LA. So I was like, wow, if we hit it off, maybe we should all go golfing together.
Dude, so down. And are you any good?
I'm horrible. And I'm
okay, good. My husband's horrible too. So
I'm also a lefty, so it makes it difficult. So I've never had my own clubs, but I went as the caddy when her and my roommate's a golfer, and I was like, is she good? And they're like, oh my God, John, she's amazing.
Oh, she'll probably kick my ass too.
I guess she has like a 4 handicap. I don't even know what that means, but out of 18 holes. And they were joking like, hey, did you ever get a hole in one? And she was, you know, Japanese are just so honest and genuine. She goes, only once. And they were like, we were joking. We've never gotten a hole in one.
Oh my God, only once, like disappointed in herself.
But anyway, when I heard you say that on a podcast, it made me, I got very excited that.
Yeah, when are you guys coming? We should
we're the 13th through the 25th or something like that. I'm going to be around.
Okay.
Going all around. We might drive the coast, and I'm teaching a theater class in Antelope Town, Antelope City, Antelope something. It's like an hour out of LA, more into like a farmland area.
Okay. That sounds
But anyway, we'll talk more about that on podcast.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I've been asking lately that I'm really curious with you, because you did say in one of the podcasts that you were a fairly outgoing kid. But what I wonder, and one of the reasons I do podcasts now, is I was a quiet student. Like I had a lot of questions, but I never spoke up. And I don't regret that because maybe it's a part of my process, and now I'm the opposite. Like I really am curious about people, and I'm not afraid to ask things. So now I've gotten this habit of asking people, like, how were you in like an aggressive student, or were you quiet, or what was your elementary life
Mm,
like?
I feel like I remember in third grade, like being like the class clown and just like wanting to get the laughs out of everybody. But
Yeah.
then I wasn't really, I was a really good student, straight A's. Except for when I get to high school, but I like cried in eighth grade when I got a B,
Uh,
my first B. And
uh.
then it was all downhill from there. I hit the bottle. But yeah, I was a really good student and I enjoyed school for the most part. But yeah, not crazy outgoing. But then once I discovered like guitar and playing when I was 13 and got the little taste of that performance life, I'm like, okay, I'll, you know,
Yeah.
you know.
Mine was juggling. I had to juggle for a church event, and I dreaded it. And then my mom said, "I'll buy you Atari if you do this." And then she said she couldn't get me off stage from that day. So
Oh my gosh. So wait, should you be in the traveling circus right now?
well, I did some of that for a while. I was a puppeteer for a couple of years and did juggling and stuff like that.
You've done everything.
And
You know what?
I just
Juggling's gotten me. We had to learn juggling in eighth grade PE, and it's gotten me some, I don't know, like my husband was shooting a short film and they were like, wait, you know how to juggle? So then I ended up being a clown. Like
yeah, well, oh.
it's an impressive thing to pull off once in a while, you
Yeah, it
know?
is. What was odd for me is that, and why it was so hard to perform, because it's always been a Zen thing for me. Like in my family was chaos. My dad left when I was young and we had 5 kids. So it was kind of my way of coping. I would just sit there, and I learned with rocks, and I would just sit there and focus. So it was very Zen. And whenever something bad would happen, I would just go in my room and juggle. And there's something about the rhythm and the timing
Mm-hmm.
that's very calming. So to turn it into an entertainment was almost like I didn't, and I still do not haven't that time on stage ended up being more about theater and music, and I still don't juggle for like public. It's just like a private thing.
When some people are jerking it in their room, you're over here juggling.
Well,
A little bit of both.
I
The
make
two
enough.
J's.
I make enough time for.
Yeah, the 2 J's.
Uh,
That's funny.
so what instrument? Why? I mean, is your family musical?
My dad played drums a little bit,
Oh yeah,
and
I think I heard that he had a drum
yeah,
set that you learned some Ramon songs and things like that.
yeah, and my aunt played piano and clarinet, but like other than that, nobody else, not really. But then my dad being like willing to, well, they put me in piano, and I always say that's just great
Yeah.
because when you're 5 years old, I mean, I hated it at most of the time, but like just to learn, you learn everything: rhythm, treble, clef, bass clef, how to read music, and then from there, it's in you. You know what I mean? So when
Yeah.
people are just asking me, "Oh, my kid wants to play guitar or whatever," and I say this all the time, I've probably said it on a million podcasts, but I just say like start with piano, like if you can, like because it might not be the coolest thing, but when they want to do guitar or whatever, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. In my family, they stopped at me. Like I was the first one not to have lessons, and I'm the only one who is a musician, which is kind of
Yeah,
weird.
because they got over making 4 other children practice all the time. And we used to run and hide from the piano teacher and like not
Yeah.
answer the door. And
What do you do you bring that? I know you said then it's in you, but do you actually bring that theory to your guitar playing, or is that it just hovers above it? Like, do you find yourself thinking of scales and when you're writing songs?
not so much. I think it's just more of a like then I picked up a guitar, it was the natural rhythm,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
just being able to be thrown into it. And I started playing with people that were like much older than me too. So just kind of being thrown into it. But no, I don't think I sit there. I know theory, but I don't sit there when I'm like writing really. And I say this all the time too. I would love to have time to sit down and practice my scales And if
Yeah.
I did that, I would be so much better. But
Does it come out in the studio at all? Do you find like, especially with like harmonies and work like
oh
that?
yeah, totally. And when like Neil, the bass player, and Josh, like I mean, they studied theory their whole lives too, and went to MI, Musicians Institute in Hollywood. So when figuring out harmonies and we're all sitting there together, theory definitely comes into play and figuring that stuff all out.
Now let's when in the wiki, which I sometimes go to for misproving and proving things, whether they're right or not, it says that you and Jen met when you were young, but then met again later. I think you were, I don't know, what is that situation? It doesn't really talk about what that was when you first
Yeah,
met.
so we met, I started taking guitar lessons at this studio, rehearsal studio. And then so I was there, but quickly, I think I took one lesson and then the guitar teacher was like, oh, well, we've been like jamming, like we're kind of starting a band now, whatever. I was like, okay. He was like, she's like really good and getting it. So whatever. And then the first time that I was in there, like, this is a tangent, I guess, but just seeing the amps and like playing loud music, like they gave me the mic to sing or whatever. And like I came home and I drew a fucking picture for my sister and my mom, what it looked like in there, like how big the amps were. They were just like half stack Marshalls, you know. Oh my God. And it was just like, I still get so giddy thinking about that day.
Yeah.
But so I was in there and this guy had this studio and he moved to a warehouse and had a stage and rented out the spot. And I was always hanging around. When I was like 13, 14 years old, my parents would drop me off and there was no really shenanigans going on. It was innocent. Like we were playing music.
Yeah.
And then Jen would come in. She was jamming with a boyfriend of hers at the time. They had like a band. So we met there and then she kind of started playing in the band that I was in. She started playing bass for us. And then from there, we realized we got to ditch this older guy and go off on our own, which was the goal all along. He was kind of like training me to, okay, now like,
Yeah.
get your stuff, just get your gear. You
Yeah,
can't always borrow my gear, you know, go. Like,
you have to go on, little birdie. It's time for you to fly. I
speaking
think
of, I need to purchase some gear myself.
it references it being, what does it say, a pop metal band or something like that?
Oh my God.
What
Well,
was
we were
it? You
called
didn't,
the Vodka Dolls,
the Vodka Dolls.
making Dad proud. The Vodka Dolls. I didn't even like mess around with drinking really at that age, I swear to God.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was weird. I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, I was also there recording like rap songs and that were not good, clearly.
Well, you're just submerging yourself in all of it. That's
Yeah,
pretty exciting. That
it
doesn't, I
was
don't,
so
you know.
exciting. I thought it was so cool just to be there around it. I was like, I offered to clean the toilets and stuff just to like hang out.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I wanted to do. And my dad got so mad at me. He's like, why don't you clean the toilets at the house? Mom's always asking you to clean up the litter box and take the trash out, and you want to go over here and clean poop off these walls? Like, I was like, yeah, I do, because it's cool poop.
It's cool.
Just wanted to be there. And yeah, Jen and I were milling around and he would have shows. He had this big room, he had a stage. And so Jen and I learned doing some sound and light. So we would work together doing that a little bit. So yeah, it was a cool situation.
Yeah.
And that's just like meeting a couple of the neighbor girls were taking guitar lessons from him. And I was like, I want to do that. So it's just like this weird chain of events, like meant to be, you know?
Is there actually a concrete, like one day where you and Jen just said, let's do our own band? Or
Yeah, there was. It was a stormy night. No, I really think that it was. And we'd gotten in like a big fight with him. Like, I mean, this guy was like a loony tune, like grateful for everything he did, but it was just time to move on. Him and Jen got in a fight or whatever. And then Jen was going to community college and had recorded a song for one of her classes. And she's like, let me show you the song that I recorded. She pulled me to her car like after we had left. And she's like, we should do this ourselves. Like we should start our own band. She's like, you could sing, you should sing. Like, here's the first song. And then we just started like jamming in my room. So yeah, there was like a specific moment where we're just like, screw this, you know?
Yeah. Was it hard to tell this fella that you guys were done, or?
I mean, kind of, because I was more good friends with him too than like Jen was. So I kind
Yeah.
of felt like, oh shit, like, but it all like needed to happen. And I mean, it wasn't that hard. It was just, bye, bro. No. No, I don't think it ended badly. I mean, I can't even like remember, like, you know, it was just all kind of supposed to happen that way anyway. He didn't really want to deal with
Yeah.
me either. Like, he was 24, 25, and I'm just like this girl causing all this drama, you know, at the place. Like, one time I like broke the vending machine, like with a knife, just like stupid shit, like because I was a kid, like,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was all supposed to happen. He's like, good, like you're supposed to leave, like go fly, birdie, you know?
Yeah. Polly, all kids don't break vending machines with knives.
Just normal kid shit. Come on. I was hungry. Hunger
So
makes you do crazy things.
yeah, it does. So what the song that she wrote, was it pretty much like a poppy type punk song?
Yeah, it was. And then
And
we just started
that was different from what you were
writing.
doing with him, and it just inspired you, both of
Yeah,
you?
well, Jen, and then meeting Jen, she showed me like I was not hip to like
Yeah,
all of that shit,
yeah.
everything. So she showed me all that, and then I was like, yes, we just started writing it and playing it and jamming them out, and then finding any which way to record and tour. As soon as I was playing in bars when I was all through high school, from when I was 13, 14 years old, just as much as I could. And then as soon as I graduated high school, my grandparents gave me like $1,000, and I used that portion to help buy a band van. And we
Man,
went on tour right away, like 33-day tour. I think we did like 32 shows in 33 days, like nowhere to, sleeping in the van. Like we did that, our fair share of times, as you do.
yeah. I
But
understand the art part of you. Where do you think the business aspect of yourself came from? It seems like because you started early, and it seems like you were in control of it in many ways. Not just you. I mean, just the two of you or whatever.
yeah, Jen is a very badass businesswoman too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that both my parents are very hardworking. I've, seen them work my whole life and be able to provide the things that we needed as a family of five. My dad is really good at speaking to people and making friends with people. And I've just witnessed him schmoozing,
Yeah,
not like in that
working
kind
it.
of way. Yeah, not in a greasy way, but just
No.
always been like, whoa, my dad's like really good at making friends and doing this. And yeah, I've always, I think, had that in me, because as soon as I got the guitar, I'm like, I'm doing this forever. And then when I was 15, I started working at Legoland. Like I wanted to work, I wanted to make money. The day that I turned 16, I was at the DMV doing my license test. Like that's how I was. I wanted
Wow.
to, go. Like people were, my sister and brother, my mom's always like, they just waited forever. I was just like, I wanted it done, just kind of like that.
Yeah, I was the same way. At 15, I had a job before you're supposed to be able to have a job. I got
Yeah, you have to have the school sign
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
had. Yeah, so I worked at a movie theater, which is where I eventually met Ben, and we started Weasel like 5 years later.
Crazy.
But I worked there with my sister at the movie theater. That's a great job as a kid to have
Dude,
at the movie theater. It
yeah.
was
Did you
wonderful.
get free tickets?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah,
got to
yeah.
see everything.
Oh yeah. I was there when the big movies came out, E.T. and
Oh,
Return of the Jedi.
did you get to score like any of the dope posters and stuff from those times?
No, no, but the manager, Steve Fritner,
Steve,
Steve Fritner,
damn
they
it.
sent us the Revenge of the Jedi posters, which are like, I don't know Star Wars lore as much, but I was there for it. And then they changed the name before it came out. So he grabbed those. They were supposed to return those posters, but he grabbed one. So I think
Oh,
those are worth like a lot of money now, because they changed it to Return of the Jedi when it was originally Revenge of the Jedi.
you see Steve now, he's like on the streets like a crazy talking to himself, but he's got like 4 of the
The
posters,
posters on his
perfect condition.
Yeah, that might be him. He was a very serious, red-headed, white-skinned, tall, brooding fellow.
Sounds like that
But,
type of
but
guy.
but occasionally he'd give you a smile and it would warm your heart.
Oh, so he did have a soul.
He did. So I was right. You had a business sense besides being a creative soul too. And that helped the band. What was you think was the difficulties with finding consistent other members at the time? Because you went a while before you got sorry, I'm gonna have to look at my notes. Neil and Josh, correct?
Yeah, I think that just came down to, again, like Jen and I, our serious level didn't match anybody else's. That was the business side of us too, kind of,
Yeah.
it's like we're like, but we just didn't have the right people. Like we were the unit, and then people just weren't in it, as things don't work out. I guess, like,
Yeah.
we went through a lot of bass players, but people that quit on tour, people that just couldn't hack it. Like, it's hard out there. So that was a lot of it. People just didn't want to tour like that.
I know. I guess since I don't know, I was raised that always made sense to me that I had to do it myself. My like I said, my family was chaos. So if I was going to do anything with myself, I had to do it myself. So meeting someone like Ben, who was also like that, we also went through a lot of people and was shocked when someone didn't give up something to go on tour. Like, we're going to play California at the Gilman Street, with Operation Ivy. Aren't you going to drop that stupid job that you have to go with?
Yeah, totally.
And they're like, I don't. It's like, okay, bye.
Yeah, I never went to one high school dance or anything. I usually had like rad shows. I think I was like playing with, I forget, GBH or something on my prom night or whatever, I was like not into anything going on there.
So did I think, if I'm not incorrect, the first release was an independent you put out yourselves? Is that true? An EP or something?
Yes. Yeah. We had Stole the TV and Like I Care. We put out ourselves, and then later Red Scare picked it up like digitally.
Yeah.
But we a guy that recorded Blink 182 back in the day, Jeff Forrest, down deep in San Diego, like almost in Mexico. And so he was great. Like, so just like a jolly old man, like just like walking around, and just we would do like 18-part harmonies on that shit, and he would just like help us. We didn't know what we were doing. It was just the perfect like beginning. I mean, and his recording sounded awesome, and we just felt so comfortable there. And
did it even occur to you to like seek out managerial stuff and things like that, or proper labels, or were you just like, let's just get in and do something? I mean,
yeah, I think of course we like tried, but
yeah,
we just wanted to do it,
right.
Because then I'm not sure with which songs we pitched some of those songs, those ones to Fat Mike. I mean, we were always giving him stuff, and he just kept telling us to write better songs, listen to the Beatles, listen to the Beatles.
Yeah.
And so he just said, you got to write better songs. And then when we did with FOMO or whatever, we sent him the demos, and it was just great because the email was just like, wow, congrats, like you guys did it. Like,
wow. So they then Fat was always on the radar for you and Jen, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
How did you
band goal.
Did you meet Toby from Red Scare, or was that it is
how,
Toby, right?
Yeah, Toby. Yeah, just through the scene, we were kind of like always mingling around. And do you know Kent Jameson, who's the manager of NoFX?
No.
For years. But he's like the dad of NoFX, and he kind of like took us under his wing. And so we just met a lot of people, and we were always just kind of lurking about. like bugging without bugging too hard, just making it apparent that this is what we want and we're gonna do it. So say yes.
Was your first record recorded for Fat, or did you record it and then they said yes to you? What was the order of that?
Oh my God, I don't even remember.
No, that's okay. I can't even remember the name of the album. It's called Fear of Missing Out.
Fear of Missing Out. Yeah, I think we recorded it and then pitched it to them, and it was done when we had it. Yeah.
Yeah, you were a band for a long time, and it's interesting to see bands that have like a full release every year, and then other bands that have like you have like 10 years plus, and you have 2 full lengths. Does it take you a while to be comfortable with the material you've written, or what's up with that? You seem
Well,
was that purposely done?
No, I mean, we've had, all of it's now since Neil and Josh, I guess. Yeah, we've just had a lot of shit. Like Jen, I had a baby.
Yeah.
Which didn't really affect too much because they started another band with somebody else in it. And then I was just, home. So I kept writing, and we recorded that and put that out. But just that, and then Jen had an opportunity to go play in this band in Italy, which is like this crazy, like kind of party band. They're like a pop punk, like Blink 182-ish, but they sing in Venetian, which like they don't really speak anymore. It's like old Italian, I guess.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it was this crazy opportunity. It was like a TV show over there. So she went over there and did that. So we just had things, and then like the members and, but yeah, we should have a lot more. It just takes us a while to get our shit together, I guess.
Yeah. I just sometimes
I think maybe just like waiting. Well, we get asked that all the time. And I think just maybe waiting to, to see who's going to put it out, not having money, like,
That's a pregnant pause for a reason, because I'm going to look at my list. This is the time of the interview where I look at my list.
Yeah, no worries.
Make sure we're going along a good course. I just want to make sure. Yeah, let's talk about this starting a relationship with one of the bands I liked from years ago, the Gamuts. I don't know Chris Fogel very much personally, but I respected his writing, and I don't even think I knew until I started doing Starting For You that he had made that transition into being more of an engineer and producer. How did that relationship start?
We heard that he was kind of trying to reach out to us, actually, and then we were like, what? Because we're just like the biggest Gamut fans ever. And we ended up on one of our European tours being on the same festival as them in Paris, so we got to actually meet up and like talk about it. And he was a fan of us, and his family actually just moved to Switzerland, but he was in Denver, and he's got a studio there, and he still has it, Black and Bloom. And yeah, it was great. It was, again, another meant to be situation. We crashed and lived in his basement for 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, did a week of like 4 or 5 days of pre-production, just, hanging out, doing the songs, and then nailed it out. And yeah, it worked so well that we came back and did it again.
Wow. That's, to me, that's the way to do it too. We always did that. We were lucky to have Mass Giorgini and Lafayette, Indiana with Sonic Iguana, who built like an apartment in the studio. So
yeah, you have to go out. If we did it
live
again,
and breathe it.
We live in LA, right? There's so many places here to do it, but then I'd be like, well, I got a display to build in a Whole Foods, guys. Like, I want to go work. Let me go pick up Adler. Adler has dance. Everyone would be like, oh, I'm gonna go run my errands. Like, it's just, you have to be in it. There's no other way to do it.
Yeah, Weasel wasn't like that. It was always me and Ben in the room, but not everybody. But my band, even in Blackouts, it was everyone was in the room at all times. It was pretty great. It does make a big difference to me because it allows for those accidental things that aren't like scripted into the songs. Like someone's there going, oh yeah, I could throw a percussion on there or something, and
Well, yeah, and then the second time we had Yo Tom from Useless ID and helping produce as well. So
Yeah.
we had Fogel and Yo Tom, and then the four of us, and a lot, you know, in that first few days got done. I remember just being super overwhelmed before all that, just because you know how many songs you have, and you know that feeling, just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
woo, like how much do you have to do? But it was great, like overall, just like such an awesome experience, and just it's so fun because you're like slowly going insane with these other people, but it's like comforting in a way. Plus,
Yeah.
you're like doing something really cool and magical at the same time.
Was there, do you do you think Chris brought a different element to, can you actually make solid what you think he brings to the team?
Yeah, I mean, those little tweaks of, you know, maybe again, like the sound of like some of our bridges, I can really hear our fogely is what we say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the harmonies, you know, you just get that little gam harmony in there,
Yeah.
you can tell. And I love it. It gives me chills. It's just,
Yeah.
how is that such a him thing, you know?
Yeah.
And just we just needed that when we realized that, like, and that's a lot of letting go of your pride too, right? Is like realizing what other people are going to bring to the table and just getting fresh ears on it, because it's one or two chords, you know, or it's
Yeah.
a one melody change this here. And you just, if you, once you're stuck, you're stuck. Like, and I don't know, just, yeah, having the, and him and Yo Tom just, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I know. I'm really, with the listening to the records the last couple of days, I'm really impressed with, and this is both engineer studio work and the musicianship, but the tightness of the guitars is pretty impressive. Like the muting is done really well.
Yeah.
You must spend a lot of time. I know touring helps. That's one of the things that frustrated me about Weasel when we stopped touring. It's like, I can't be as good in the studio if I don't have all that endurance and time spent
Oh, I know.
playing every night. So it really makes a difference. And you can tell on your records that,
And
you've
luckily we spent a lot of time in the rehearsal space too here in LA before flying over there, and
yeah.
just getting everything down. And yeah, what's hard for me sometimes is like playing sitting down is almost harder sometimes,
Yeah.
but I usually do record sitting down. But no, when you get that fresh, but yeah, there's sometimes where it's like, come on, we gotta go, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And that's why with Weasel, we would go from very often. I like this, going from very professional to the next album would be more laid back and relaxed. And we would do extremes like that. Like our album Emo, Ben just sent us the demos and we didn't even practice. We just recorded our first times ever playing. That whole record is just like first takes. And then we would do something like Television City Dream, which is Fat Records release, which is like Fat Records, where every single note. I talk about with Mass, I talk about my book where I was on a stool and I had to do all of the guitar parts because Ben had freaked out and couldn't do his part. So I had to do both guitars. And I actually literally muted myself doing mutes off my seat. Like I fell onto the ground because I was like concentrating so hard and hitting it.
Oh my God,
I fell
is that
down.
recording the
Yeah,
sound of it?
yeah, no, but I had a break. I had a slight breakdown. I was like,
Oh yeah, for sure. There's definitely, I mean, God, it's so much, and there's definitely times where it's like, Jen, play this part, or even Neil. Like Neil's like, oh, I wrote this melody, let me just play it, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
But it's funny because even my dad was like, I was watching some people on YouTube like doing playthroughs of your guys' songs. He's like, are you really that good? Like you can really play that? Like, yes, Dad, I can. You dick.
That's I'm sorry to bring up, I guess I've been thinking about them lately because I haven't been able to see them much, but even in Blackouts, what was great about that band of mine is that there was no egos. Everyone would do a part. Like there's like 3 guitarists in the band, but only 2 actual, and then but anybody would do it. It's like whoever could do it best would do it. And
Right.
it's really
Yeah.
nice to be in a situation where you have that openness of,
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that's nice.
yeah.
That's what it's all about, is just making whatever is the best sound. And yeah.
Oh, that seems to hit something hard. Is that?
No, I'm just, yeah, that, I mean, that would be nice, would be a nice situation. I think that, you know, in bands, it's like getting over that pride factor, or,
Yeah.
you know, and I wrote this, so I should sing this part or whatever. But
Yeah.
no, I think we got better about doing that for sure. For sure. But
Were you always singing your songs and Jen was singing her songs, or did you ever and then
we,
sometimes you're doubles, you sing like both have
yeah, we
lyrics.
double. I really like though when we sing together.
Yeah, I
I
like
don't
that
think
too.
that, yeah, or like when we even just share on a song, or like on like Be Sweet, like we each do a verse and then sing the whole chorus together. I think that's really cool because I just think visually on stage, like I love to see like just people doing shit
Yeah, I
constantly.
agree. I agree. I love that.
Yeah.
And I think it adds a
Which we
level
do a
of
lot.
like drama, almost theatrical to it too. Like there's a
Yeah.
dialogue going on stage, you know.
Yeah, exactly. There's only so much you can, like, standing and like posing you can do,
Yeah.
you know? No, but we got better about doing that. I think that there's definitely times in the studio. I even like, there's one song, Sad to Me, that was as like I had way more swingy and slow, and I think that's like kind of me. Maybe I was portraying where I wanted the band to go, not swingy and slow
Yeah,
constantly, but
yeah.
like a little more catchy. Like, let's slow it down a little bit, you know? And we did on this last record for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was one of the moments where, you know, Chris and everybody's like, it's better just straight, you know, straight through. Like, don't make it as swingy. But I wanted to do like some soulful stuff with my voice, and that eliminates that. And then I know when we're playing live, that's gonna be even extra fast, and it's just gonna lose everything that it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But
So you
one of
understand the
those,
inherent difficulty, but it's something you wanted to
yeah,
attempt and
so
do.
but it's fine because, and we changed it and we made it the way that like everyone agreed on. And so yeah, when I still play it live, I'm like, oh damn, it's so fast. Because of course when you play live, like everything
Yeah, yeah.
speeds up a little bit, everyone's adrenaline's get going and you're fired up. But that's a moment where I felt myself getting choked up, and I was like, I have to swallow my pride and
Oh,
like let this happen, you know. And that's all good. Like, that's learning as a musician. We have two amazing producers here with us, you know.
yeah.
That's a
I
huge
remember
learning process.
I remember many times, especially with this new band I'm doing, I'm purposely doing really faster material now. And it's really interesting what you lose in especially poppy or melodic music when it goes just a little bit too fast or just a little. There is an odd perfect place for some songs that you create, and it's weird to discover that, like, oh,
Yeah,
what's so hard about just picking it up a little bit, and then you pick it up a little bit and you're like, oh, I completely lost my swing of my voice and that, or the
right.
feeling.
Where you can't breathe and you feel like you're like rapping, which is, there's the time and place for
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
but I also tend to be very wordy with my lyrics. So if it's fast, it's like gonna be a rap, which is
Yeah.
fine, I guess. But no, and I remember feeling that, you know, towards the end of my Bombpops career, like just a little bit like I want to sit down and make a change and be like, you guys, where do we want to go with this? Like, because I was just feeling like, don't get me wrong by any means, like I am not over the punk rock lifestyle or music and like beat and quickness and everything about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But I want a second to breathe. I want to like go on a journey, you know, like almost more theatrical. I mean, not
Yeah, no, I know
crazy, but
exactly what you're saying, and it's really difficult because it sometimes bumps up against what a label or other band members thinks or what an audience thinks. I know because I'm one of those. I love to be insanely creative, and sometimes I just have to ignore the fact, and that's why I do mostly everything independent because I have to cut out those voices saying this is not what they're going to want.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I always say you want to give them what they don't know they want.
right. There is definitely that fine line, but I think I've had this time to really sit and think and plan and write, and like I am super excited about, my husband and I write everything together. Like anything that was like my songs, he helped me with, like for the Bomb Pops,
Yeah.
most of them. I mean, a good chunk. We just write really well together. So, you know, we're doing that. And yeah, because I want something greater. And this also sounds like I'm an old like person now too, but I'm like, it's too loud. Like I think that was like, Josh is also a very loud drummer, like
Yeah.
great, one of the greatest drummers, but just that snare always popping through and I can't hear my vocals. And like, after doing this for 15 years, like when you're 13 and you're playing some shitty club, like that's when you're like, people are supposed to be like, I couldn't hear the vocals,
Yeah.
but like when you're doing this for 15 years and you're like played an epic show and people are like, I couldn't hear the vocals and like the drums are so loud, and it's just like, oh man, like, and that's just part of like the scene and stuff too, and the genre of music. It's just it is so fast. And yeah, I think literally and not, I am taking a breather in my music and in life, slowing it down a little bit.
I have a couple questions that might be touchy. I'm not sure. One is, are you still dealing with the process of, am I making this right choice for a band that might be on its way to getting bigger and bigger? Was that a worry of yours, or does that concern you at all?
No, it doesn't actually, because I'm again, like, at the end of the day, to everybody else, it's just petty band bullshit, right?
Yeah.
But this was obviously not an easy decision, but there's just no coming there's not fame or money in the world that's worth.
Right. So I think what I hear, I hear you
thing.
saying is that it would just be incapable for you to go along that path anyway. So
I tried to be like, you know what, it is just a business and we do have great times and this and that, but once it just got down to these last couple months, unfortunately, it's just, it's hard to.
Yeah. Is there how much of that, and you don't have to answer this if you want to, but how much of that band is financial in your life? Is that a big part of it, or not at all? Is it mostly just costing money?
Yeah, at this point, and that's what I wanted to do, things, like work a little smarter and not harder, because we all are growing up a little bit. And Jen included, we just started, working out like a real career job with Liquid Death, and which they're totally cool with us like going on tour and stuff, but she does a little bit different than what I do. I'm like out in the field every day, so it's not as easy. Even if the company approves me to go on tour, it's not as easy for me to just leave. And newsflash, I like having money and saving for a house, like,
yeah,
for
well,
once in my life.
Well, you got kids and a husband, and
yeah, and like,
you need to bring home the bacon.
Yeah,
I do not know. I probably should. What is this Liquid Death again?
Liquid Death is
you got a
water.
hat that says that.
Yes, Liquid Death is water. I'll have to send you some, but it's a still and a sparkling water. Our whole thing is death to plastic, so it's water in a can.
Oh, you know what? I made fun of that the other night on Beat Kitchen stage when I was playing. They handed me that.
Hell
I just thought it
yes.
was the strangest name for. I was expecting
That's
something.
so perfect.
I was expecting like some seltzer into it or some, and it was just water in a can.
So our whole thing is death to plastic, but it's a pretty rad thing. I mean,
okay.
Yeah,
Understood.
so we're eliminating single-use plastic, but it's blowing up, and 10% of the profits do go to killing plastic pollution. And they also work with a organization called the Thirst Project.
Yeah.
And we've already donated over $1 million to them to build water wells in various villages in Africa.
Oh, that's great to hear.
So,
I can still make fun of it, but then I'll say
you got to go follow like all of that's the whole point of the company. We make fun of ourselves.
I mean, it makes sense. And Liquid Death, I mean, you got to think about it before you drink it.
Ridiculous. We have we did a horror movie that just came out. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's craziness, but drink some Liquid Death, murder your thirst, y'all.
Yeah. Well, I think it reminds me of like, you just got to get people used to it. Like, the idea of water in a can is so foreign that drinking it, you always expect something else. It's like I talk about when I was at a bar once and I saw a mug. I was picking up my mug of cider, and it was one of those plastic ones instead of glass. And I picked it up so hard that I like threw all the liquid out of it. it's like the same thing. It's not what you expect. So it
Yeah,
just takes people to get used to it after a while,
totally.
drinking water out of a can.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
They are coming out with flavors soon.
Ah,
Yeah,
nice.
but people love it. People love it.
That's great. I I have one more direction I wanted to go, and I don't remember what it is. Let me see if I can find it here.
No worries.
No, I'm not worried.
No, you're worried, okay?
No, I know when I'm worried. Worried in Japanese, that's shinpai.
Shinpai.
Shinaide.
My
Don't
kid is
worry.
getting to be obsessed with anime, and he wants to go to Japan one day, and he's
Yeah.
all into it. So,
Well, I'm supposed to move back, so if that happens, then I'll show you
yeah.
around.
Oh
I'm
my
in
God.
Osaka, which is a lot of anime going on there.
Oh my God. Oh, he would die. He'd be so stoked.
I also work at Universal Studios in the Harry Potter section, so I'm a
Do
wizard
you?
there. Yeah, I'm a wizard I'm an Ollivander in the park. So
Oh, we need to go. We were thinking about getting passes. So maybe we'll do that. My husband used to work at Universal.
oh, did he? Wow.
Yeah, he was Shrek.
Ah,
He was, oh, what else? He did a bunch of stuff there and at Disneyland too. And
yeah.
then
See,
I worked at Legoland. We're all theme park
wow,
people.
yeah, we're theme park people. I would only do it in Japan. There has to be some other element to it, like being a wizard in like Florida or LA. Being a wizard in Japan,
Yeah.
that added that extra strange element to me that made it.
So you're doing that over there.
Well, I did it for about 6 years. I was on contracted for like 10 months a year there, and they taught me Japanese and the shows in Japanese there.
So you learned Japanese just to do this, like to do the show there?
Hi, so this.
Wow. Oh, I can't wait to tell Mike all of this.
Yeah, and now I have a Japanese girlfriend, which is even better.
And that's is that how you met?
Yeah, she was my assistant, and then we got along really well. So
Oh my God. Can you send me videos of you doing that? Do you have any videos of your performing?
I don't like the videos, but I do have some pictures of me as the Ollivander. Like I
Why
could
don't you
send you
like the
those.
videos?
Well, I'll try to find one. They're probably online, but every
I'm gonna,
Ollivander looks the same. That's on
yeah.
purpose. They want everyone to look like the same
Uh-huh.
person. So
How cool. So you're gonna go back and do that when you move back?
I may or may not. The goal is to get back there when they allow humans beside Japanese people back in. But that's one of the ways that's possible to get back.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
How
So.
exciting. You're such an interesting person. I want to interview you next.
Oh, well, I'm always up for that.
All right.
I think, Polly, I think that's everything I wanted to.
Perfect.
We did it quick. I did want to, and we did return back to it. Oh, I just want to know. I mean, I love that recent picture of you did one of you and also one of you and Adler is your son, right?
Uh-huh.
I think you have a photo photo studio of maybe not. There's two photos I saw, one of you and him, and then I saw the one of you where I can't remember. I'm gonna have to cut this out unless you know what I'm talking about.
The commercial that we did?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Are they the most recent ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the commercial that I did for the diabetic sensor thing on my arm.
Those are really nice
Oh,
photos. You're very good at it.
It was crazy because we did, I'm I was my own like manager and agent through all this, and I worked myself out a pretty sweet deal. And and I'm proud to be a spokesperson for this company as well. But I walked in and it was a whole set. I mean, they had a teacher on set for Adler. The whole family was in it. They had this warehouse. They had these crazy lights and smoke, and they went down the floor, and they had me just do performance stuff. Then I did a whole interview portion, and then we came back to my house and filmed some stuff here. So that was really fun.
What you as your own manager, what are you as a product now, Polly? What are you selling?
Poli van Dam, baby. All things. Like I said, I'm just, and here's the thing, that I am Poli van Dam. I'm gonna do me in all things. you know, with diabetes, being a mother,
Yeah.
you know, and that's my thing is like, you should never be, you know, scared or worried to tell anybody about wanting to do something that means a lot to you, especially having a baby. And you can, you know, do whatever you do normally
Yeah.
just because you're a mom, you know, and I toured the world and I did it and I'm still, you know, I'm not stopping. And I do wish the band all the success. I honestly do. Because obviously those are, you know, I started that. So why wouldn't you want something you started to, you know, end well?
Yeah.
So I hope it does work out for everyone.
Do you
Really.
have, do you know, are the details, do you still have like a financial stake in the, I mean, of course you'll get royalty for your records, but do you have a financial stake in the band as itself, or is that stuff being worked out in private?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we've always had it, even with since Josh and Neil joined the band, that we
Yeah.
split everything 4 ways.
Yeah.
So even, which maybe I'm like, maybe that was dumb, like now, but like, so all my songs and stuff are, you know, we split.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna come after fucking anything merch or anything like that,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Okay.
whatever. Just
Yeah.
the royalties of things that I've already, you know, that are my songs. But you know, there's no point, you know, in talking to Fat Records and stuff about it. Those are two, you know, women and mothers themselves. And there's no point in getting into it, you know, especially on social media or posting passive aggressive things, or
Yeah. Yeah.
what good is that going to do for me? They said, Polly, come, you know, keep writing, put out a song and be like, this is what I'm doing now. Like that's, it doesn't have to be a big deal. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I believe that you put out, you get what you put out there in the world. And so you just keep your head up and be as mature as I can. And as a human being, that is a hard thing to do. I'm learning a major life lesson through all of this, because human nature is, you want to go into the he said, she said,
Yeah.
I can't
Exactly.
believe they did this or this, and I'm not a freaking innocent person either. But like, what is that going to do? People are going to get defensive. You're challenging their character. Then we're going to just be butting heads on the internet. Like, you know, it's just this is the main thing. It wasn't creatively or personally supportive or something I wanted to be a part of anymore. And it's time to branch off and, you know, do my own thing.
Yeah. Well, that I got two more things I want to ask, and one isn't really asking, it's telling, and that kind of relates to what you're saying, and something I learned about myself too. I studied this in my theater company. We would write our own shows, and I did a show on a 1916, 1920s, 1930s artist named Marcel Duchamp. I don't know if you know, he's the one who created the anti-art, which is like the urinal on the pedestal and stuff like that.
Okay.
But at some point, I think he realized that he was becoming his art. Like he was jumping from different art movements, from the Dadists, the Surrealists, and they weren't him, and he wasn't them. And I think he slowly realized that he was his own project. And I think maybe that isn't what everyone comes to a conclusion. Some people are best buried in their art or behind the scenes, but some people have to make that realization that they are that art, so that you just have to find your way within that. And you seem like one of those that you carry that with you, and you
Yeah, and
are
like
able to
not
use yourself without taking advantage of yourself.
right, and without being, you know, cocky, I still want to remain humble, but
Yeah. No,
this,
I think to me that's part of it. That's what's
yeah,
important about that, is to have a little bit of
totally,
that.
totally. And you know, I think there's enough there. I mean, I'm constantly overwhelmed with things we want to do, give it our family. My husband and I, you know, have like recorded a couple like pilot podcast episodes. We're just always doing something, videos, you know,
Yeah.
my son and I've been making music videos and, you know, stuff like that. But I am really going to get back and focus on my music, because that's what I want to do.
I
And
figured you would.
I don't want to lose, you know, that traction at all. And, you know, I don't want people to get bummed and thinking that I'm quitting, because that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
That's the last thing I am, is a quitter. That is why has not been the easiest thing.
Right.
But
And even but the hard part to me, and this idea with this too, even though you yourself are your own process, a lot of the audiences aren't in on that. So it's almost like having to rebuild a whole part of yourself to show to the
yeah,
world again. But it's
yeah,
something
but
that's exciting though too. I think.
that I was just gonna say that
Yeah.
actually, like, that is exciting in a sense, because it
Yeah.
is a fresh start for sure. Now
Yeah.
my gears are turning. It's
Polly,
exciting.
I'm gonna ask you one more question that I've been asking the guys on my podcast. So I'm interested in your
How big is my dick?
yes, how is it metaphorically and
So big.
maybe literally?
You never know.
No, I a lot of the people I've interviewed have children, like Dan Vapid, and I talked to him and a couple other people about this. But I now I'm going to call it like the Kevin Bacon moment, even though I can't think of what film it was. But there is this point where the father is, worried about being a dad, and then they see the baby, and they can't really describe it in words, but you see like the facial change, and you know that they've gone through some sort of metamorphosis or change. Do you feel as when you first had Adler, did you feel a moment like that where something changed for you?
Not right away. I was like, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm gonna pass out. Get this fucker away from me. Yeah, but no, definitely, like, real talk though. Yes, as soon, dude. I mean, it's insane, and I still have those moments. I think,
Yeah.
like, right away, it's still also shocking, but as it really sets in, and you're like, oh damn, we done did this.
Yeah.
But even now, every night when I go to bed, I thank my lucky stars. Like, it's such a cool thing to experience, watching your mini self, grow up, and just, I don't know. I'm speechless. It really
Yeah.
is. But definitely it wasn't that exact moment like in the movie.
Yeah. No, I watched a lot of people with kids and friends, and I'm very much a voyeur in watching that growth. And I think it's even seeing me watching them, seeing the things that are like their parents and the things that are specifically themselves. Like from a
Yeah.
young age, you realize that they are something other than yourself, but then they'll throw this eccentricity or this mannerism. Then you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's Mike, or that's me,
Yeah. No, totally. And maybe it is more of a dad thing, because maybe because the woman, just went through a wee bit of trauma.
Yeah.
But and I had a C-section, so Mike kind of
Ooh.
had that moment, so
Yeah.
because
Wow.
he was like a mess. I was like, get it together. He was like, how could I love anything so much, and how could anyone never leave their kids? And he had this whole, and
Wow.
I'm, so maybe that is more of a thing. We're still like getting it, and the dad is like gets to have that moment, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Well, I guess, there's something to carrying it with you for 9 months that might make it a bit
Yeah.
more complicated. It is
Yeah.
part of your body.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, get it out. I know we're crazy for wanting to do it again, but we do. It wasn't the right time, but that was
Yeah.
this year has been quite crazy. And then I had the miscarriage, and then
Yeah.
recently just lost both my grandparents
Oh man.
within 4 days of each other.
Oh damn.
But so now we're on to
Yeah.
better
This
days.
pandemic has been hard, not even just for the pandemic. I had a friend who lost his son and his mother all within a span of like 6 months. And I had some crazy shit go down this year too. So
Everybody, that's the thing. It's like, then you look at everyone else too, and that is
yeah.
life.
Yeah. All right, Polly, I'm going to let you go.
Thank you so much. This was
Well,
great.
yeah. Well, thank you for being so honest and genuine with me. And I had a good time.
Yes, I hope it's all goes smooth. Well, okay, so email me when you're in LA or what the details are.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
we
will.
can meet up.
I will. I've been storing these. I usually get them out within a week, but I've been storing them since I have my guest with me. But I think I might try to bump this one to the front of the line and get it out probably maybe next week from now. So
cool.
All right.
Rad. Well, let me know.
All right, Polly.
Have a good one. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you.
Bye.
Say goodbye to your husband, Mike.
I will. He will definitely. He'd be super. You guys would nerd out pretty hard together.
Yeah,
I
I'd
think.
love to meet him. That's why I'm excited.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll come out
you
and watch
guys
it. Do
would.
that. Okay.
All right, hit me
All
up.
right.
Bye. Good
Bye
night.
bye. Bye.